اللهم صل على محمد.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. هل أتاك حديث الغاشية وجوه يومئذ خاشعة عاملة ناصبة تصلى نارا حامية تسقى من عين آنية ليس لهم طعام إلا من ضريع لا يسمن ولا يغني من جوع وجوه يومئذ ناعمة لسعيها راضية في جنة عالية لا تسمع فيها لاغية فيها عين جارية فيها سرر مرفوعة وأكواب موضوعة ونمارق مصفوفة وزرابي مبثوثة أفلا ينظرون إلى الإبل كيف خلقت وإلى السماء كيف رفعت وإلى الجبال كيف نصبت وإلى الأرض كيف سطحت فذكر إنما أنت مذكرة لست عليهم بمسيطر إلا من تولى وكفر فيعذبه الله العذاب الأكبر إن إلينا إيابهم ثم إن علينا حسابهم. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. عن جابر بن عبد الله الأنصاري عن فاطمة الزهراء عليها السلام بنت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله قال سمعت دخل علي أبي رسول الله في بعض الأيام فقال السلام عليك يا فاطمة فقلت عليك السلام قال إني أجد في بدني ضعفا فقلت له أعيذك بالله يا أبتاه من الضعف فقال يا فاطمة ائتيني بالكساء اليماني فغطيني به فآتيته بالكساء اليماني فغطيته به وسرت أنظر إليه وإذا وجهه يتلألأ كأنه البدر في ليلة تمامه وكماله فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولدي الحسن قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أمه فقلت وعليك السلام يا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي فقال يا أماه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جدي رسول الله فقلت نعم إن جدك تحت الكساء. فأقبل الحسن نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جداه يا رسول الله، أتأذن لي أن أدخل معك تحت الكساء؟ قال وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا صاحب حوضي، قد أذنت لك. فدخل معه تحت الكساء. فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولدي الحسين قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أماه. وقلت وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي. فقال لي يا أماه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جدي رسول الله. فقلت نعم إن جدك وأخاك تحت الكساء. فدنا الحسين نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جداه، يا السلام عليك يا من اختاره الله، أتأذن لي أن أدخل معكما تحت الكساء؟ فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا شافع أمتي، قد أذنت لك. فدخل معهما تحت الكساء. فأقبل عند ذلك أبو الحسن علي بن أبي طالب وقال السلام عليك يا بنت رسول الله. فقلت وعليك السلام يا أبا الحسن ويا أمير المؤمنين. فقال يا فاطمة إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة أخي وابن عمي رسول الله. فقلت نعم ها هو مع ولديك تحت الكساء. فأقبل علي نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله، أتأذن لي أن نكون معكم تحت الكساء؟ قال له وعليك السلام يا أخي ويا وصيي وخليفتي وصاحب لوائي، قد أذنت لك. فدخل علي تحت الكساء. ثم أتيت نحو الكساء وقلت السلام عليك يا أبتاه يا رسول الله، أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء؟ قال وعليك السلام يا بنتي ويا بضعتي، قد أذنت لك. فدخلت تحت الكساء. فلما اكتملنا جميعا تحت الكساء أخذ أبي رسول الله بطرف الكساء وأومأ بيده اليمنى إلى السماء وقال اللهم إن هؤلاء أهل بيتي وخاصتي وحمتي، لحمهم لحمي ودمهم دمي، يؤلمني ما يؤلمهم ويحزنني ما يحزنهم. أنا حرب لمن حاربهم وسلم لمن سالمهم وعدو لمن عاداهم ومحب لمن أحبهم، إنهم مني وأنا منهم. فاجعل صلواتك وبركاتك ورحمتك وغفرانك ورضوانك علي وعليهم، وأذهب عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. فقال الله عز وجل يا ملائكتي ويا سكان السماوات إني ما خلقت السماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدحية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضية ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا في محبة هؤلاء الخمسة الذين هم تحت الكساء. فقال الأمين جبريل يا ربي ومن تحت الكساء؟ فقال عز وجل هم أهل بيت النبوة ومعدن الرسالة، هم فاطمة وأبوها وبعلها وبنوها. فقال جبريل يا ربي أتأذن لي أن أهبط إلى الأرض لأكون معهم سادسا؟ فقال الله نعم قد أذنت لك. فهبط الأمين جبريل وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله. العلي الأعلى يقرئك السلام ويخصك بالتحية والإكرام ويقول لك وعزتي وجلالي إني ما خلقت السماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدحية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضية ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا لأجلكم ومحبتكم، وقد أذن لي أن أدخل معكم فهل تأذن لي يا رسول الله؟ فقال رسول الله وعليك السلام يا أمين وحي الله إنه نعم قد أذنت لك. فدخل جبريل معنا تحت الكساء فقال لأبي إن الله قد أوحى إليكم يقول إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهرهم تطهيرا. فقال علي لأبي يا رسول الله أخبرني ما لجلوسنا هذا تحت الكساء من الفضل عند الله. فقال النبي والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبينا إلا ونزلت عليهم الرحمة وحفت بهم الملائكة واستغفرت لهم إلى أن يتفرقوا. فقال علي إذا والله فزنا وفاز شيعتنا ورب الكعبة. فقال النبي يا علي والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفني بالرسالة نجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبينا وفيهم مهموم إلا وفرج الله همه ولا مغموم إلا وكشف الله غمه ولا طالب حاجة إلا وقضى الله حاجته. وقال فازوا وسعدوا في الدنيا والآخرة ورب الكعبة. محمد ومحمد दी थी अम्मा ने जो पोशाक बुला दो ज़ैनब, दी थी अम्मा ने जो पोशाक बुला दो ज़ैनब, अपने हाथों से कफन मुझको पहना दो ज़ैनब, दी थी अम्मा ने जो पोशाक बुला दो ज़ैनब, अपने हाथों से कफन मुझको पहना दो ज़ैनब। आज मक़तल में फ़क़त बात तुम्हारी होगी, अभी अम्मा से मुलाकात हमारी होगी, अभी अम्मा से मुलाकात हमारी होगी। कोई पैगाम کوئی پیغام اگر ہے تو سنا دو زینب، اپنے ہاتھوں سے کفن مجھ کو پہنا دو زینب، دی تھی اماں نے جو پوشاک وہ لا دو زینب، اپنے ہاتھوں سے کفن مجھ کو پہنا دو زینب، میرے لاشی کی رہے گی تمہیں پہچان بہن، چاک کر دو میری کرتے کا گریبان بہن، چاک کر دو میری کرتے کا گریبان بہن، کوئی لوٹے نہ اسے ایسا بنا دو زینب، اپنے ہاتھوں سے کفن مجھ کو پہنا دو زینب، دی تھی اماں نے جو پوشاک بھلا دو زینب، اپنے ہاتھوں سے کفن مجھ کو پہنا دو زینب، قید خانے کی سنبھالو یہ امانت بی بی، گود میں لو اس مظلوم ہو رخصت بی بی، گود میں لو اس مظلوم ہو رخصت بی بی، میرا دامن میری بچی سے چھڑا دو زینب، اپنے ہاتھوں سے کفن مجھ کو پہنا دو زینب، دی تھی اماں نے جو پوشاک بھلا دو زینب، اپنے ہاتھوں سے کفن مجھ کو پہنا دو زینب، جب سے اکبر گئی بینا بھی آنکھوں سے گئی، لا کے دے دو علی اصغر کی نشانی کوئی، لا کے دے دو علی اصغر کی نشانی کوئی، کرتا بے شیر کے آنکھوں سے لگا دو زینب، اپنے ہاتھوں سے کفن مجھ کو پہنا دو زینب، دی تھی اماں نے جو پوشاک بلا دو زینب، اپنے ہاتھوں سے کفن مجھ کو پہنا دو زینب، گھر سے شبیر جنازے کی طرح سے نکلے، سبھی روتے تھے وہاں پر در خیمہ پہ کھڑے، سبھی روتے تھے وہاں پر در خیمہ پہ کھڑے، شہ نے جس دم کہا میں نے کی رضا دو زینب، اپنے ہاتھوں سے کفن مجھ کو پہنا دو زینب، دی تھی اماں نے جو پوشاک بھلا دو زینب، اپنے ہاتھوں سے کفن مجھ کو پہنا دو زینب، بر محمد وآل محمد صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم۔
All the boys sitting over there, please come forward. Everyone forward. Inshallah, correct me if I'm wrong, there is a Q&A today, right? Okay, inshallah, there's a possibility there's a Q&A today, so please ask in the month if you would like to make your way to the English tent for a Q&A session. Can we please invite Sayyid Haydar Jamaludeen with the loudest for your salawat, please?
Allahumma salli ala Mashallah, mashallah. I'll tell you why.
السلام علیکم. اعوذ باللہ من الشیطان الرجیم. بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم. الحمد للہ رب العالمین باعث الانبیاء والمرسلین بارئ الخلائق اجمعین، ثم الصلاة والسلام على اشرف الانبیاء والمرسلین سیدنا ونبینا وشفیع ذنوبنا وطبیب نفوسنا الذي سمي في السماء بأحمد وسمي في الأرضين بأبي القاسم المصطفى محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين المظلومين لا سيما بقية الله في الأراضين روحي وأرواح العالمين لتراب مقدمه الفداء ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من حين عداوتهم إلى قيام يوم الدين. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Please recite salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad.
بعد فقد قال الله عز وجل في كتابه الكريم هو أحكم الحاكمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول وأولي الأمر منكم فإن تنازعتم في شيء فردوه إلى الله والرسول. Please recite الصلوات على محمد وآل محمد. Like always, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for allowing us to come together on these nights. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for allowing us to gather on these nights, for allowing us to be amongst the mourners of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, to be here one final night inshallah. Inshallah we'll discuss some very important things. So please recite salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I'm sure we can recite better salawat than that. Please recite salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Secondly, once again, I'd like to thank the organizers and all of the brothers and sisters who are working hard in the background to make sure that these sessions can happen. So please recite another salawat for them.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
And thirdly, lastly but not leastly, we'd like to offer a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad for our Imam. Please recite a salawat for our Imam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
So on the first night, we discussed the mercy of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, the mercy of Allah, and we said that Imam Hussein alayhi salam is a mercy from Allah, in a way that he is a ark of salvation. He is one of those arks of salvation of the Ahlul Bayt that should we go ahead of it, we will drown. Should we lag behind it, we will drown. But should we board it and get there on time and board that boat, then we shall be salvation. We will achieve salvation. But we said that Imam Hussein alayhi salam, his boat is much vaster than others because Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi himself has said that he is the ark of salvation. He is one of the specific arks of salvation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In our second night, we then discussed what happened between Ghadir and Karbala from 50 years. We said that in one day, the hand of the wali is being raised, and 50 years later, the head of the sun, is being raised on spears. And we asked what happened in this. What happened? We also discussed that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has wilayah over the believers. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who holds the affairs of the believers, and then He is the one who is allowed to give it to others. So He gives it to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, who in turn was ordered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give it to the Imams, and then through the Imams, and then who? From Imam Mahdi Ajalallah ta'ala Fawj al-Sharif, all the way until the Imam, Please recite salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
So all the way until our final Imam, Imam al-Mahdi Ajalallah Ta'ala Farajah al-Sharif, is given walayah by the Prophet. But who does Imam Mahdi Ajalallah Ta'ala Farajah al-Sharif give his walayah to? Inshallah we'll discuss that tonight. And we mentioned that there was a lack of insight in the people that caused them to downfall. In our third night we discussed a love of the world and comfort. And we said that having comfort in this world and trying to be comfortable in this world is not accessible for a believer. It's not possible for the believer. So therefore, what did we say that comfort leads to? It leads to cowardice in this world. It leads to being scared. Because that means we have something to lose. The only thing we have to lose is the world. If we understand that the only thing that really matters in life is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then we'll know there's nothing to lose in this world, because everything is going to be destroyed apart from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So everything that's with Allah is eternal. So we said that comfort in this world leads to a lack of sacrifice and cowardice. And we mentioned that remembering death helps us to avoid that. Now on the fourth and the fifth nights we discussed that we were chosen for this mission. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, He says, "Huwa ajtabakum," He's chosen you. That means Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala underestimate yourselves. This means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He wants us and He's chosen us to take forward this mission. So we must do our best to help this mission go forward. Please recite salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Then throughout the 6th, the 7th, the 8th and the 9th nights we mentioned the goals of the mission of Abu Abdullah ibn Hussain. Please recite salawat in the name of the Imam.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
We mentioned that some people they say that government was why Imam Hussain left. Some people say that it was because he wanted to become martyred. But then we said no, both of these are just results of the movement of Abu Abdullah, and his main objective was to create reform. So Imam Hussain left knowing that one of these two possibilities could come to pass. He could either be martyred or he could reach government. But the thing is, the whole main objective and the whole reason why he did this was that he was going out to reform society. And in that path of reform, he was willing to be martyred, because he knew that even by his martyrdom, society would be reformed. We also mentioned that as an ummah, as a community, as a nation of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, please recite salawat in the name of our Prophet.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
As an ummah, we mustn't entertain somebody who's trying to cause deviance, and not only deviance, to cause fitna and discord between the people of this society. So like we mentioned, some people they like to go and they talk about people behind their backs. The Quran itself tells us that we mustn't entertain these rumors. We mustn't even say that, oh yeah, perhaps this happened. We have to say that no, this is a rumor, and just cut it out immediately. Please just say salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Then on the 10th and our last night we mentioned the cause of Islam. We mentioned the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we said that, please recite salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
We mentioned on the 10th night that the cause of Islam, the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the divine mission, is a train that has been set out from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all the way from the time of Prophet Adam. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Prophet Adam, He sent him with a divine mission for him to carry out. We said that he was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's representative on earth. And then after him, the next prophet and the next prophet, until Khatam Nabiyyin Rasulullah, we said that our holy prophet was also one of these drivers of this train of salvation and the divine message. And we said that this train will continue until the Day of Judgment with different drivers. That after Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he didn't leave this train without a driver. He gave this train a driver so that this message would be intact. But then we said some of the passengers, some of the believers in the message, they started to hijack the train. They came and they took over the train themselves. So in fact what we're saying here is that there is an objective reality until the day of judgment. In this world there is one reality only. A lot of us, we like to think that there is different realities, or we can be relative about certain things, but no. There is one objective reality, and that is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants, and that is the cause in which we must take steps. So inshallah, for us to begin our discussion today, please recite another salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Now, on top of the train that is the train of the divine message, there is one more train going parallel to it, but its destination is elsewhere. Remember, we mentioned several times that there is a battle between good and evil, constant battle between good and evil. Now, this battle has been ongoing ever since the beginning of time. At the beginning, we had Prophet Adam, ala nabiyyina wa alihi wa alayhi salam, and against him we had Shaitan. We had Prophet Noah, and we had the people at his time. We had Prophet Musa, and we had Fir'aun. We had Prophet Ibrahim, and we had Nimrud. We had Prophet Isa, and we had the elites of his time. We had Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and we had Abu Sufyan, we had Abu Jahl, we had all of these people who were against Rasulullah. So from the very beginning of time we had this conflict of good and evil, and until the end of time shall also be so. So we can look at it as two parallel trains, one of them traveling towards light, which is the good train, the train of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the other one which is traveling towards darkness, as the Holy Quran says, which we'll mention later on. So these two trains are constantly at odds. They can never be at peace. It's a tradition of Allah that there will always be good and there will always be bad to combat that good. Or I should say the other way around probably. There is always going to be bad and there will always be good to combat that bad. Now these two trains are constantly firing at each other. Imagine they have cannons or whatever and they're just constantly shooting at each other. Both of these trains. They're constantly at war, never going to be at peace. Eventually, evil, it realizes that it cannot defeat good unless it does something else. What does the evil do? It places spies amongst the passengers. So amongst the passengers, he places spies. The driver of the train of bad, he realizes that, you know what, we need to destroy them from inside out. We need to make them rot from inside out. So what does he do? He puts some people inside the passengers of the good, inside the Muslims. He puts some rotten apple in there. And what these people do, they try to influence other people with their ideas, with their fake interpretations of Islam. And it even gets to a stage where these passengers, they start to introduce themselves as leaders. And they start to speak to the people as people of knowledge. And they introduce themselves as good people, but in fact, their whole objective, whether intentionally or unintentionally, is to misguide others and misguide the people that they are supposedly guiding. So for this reason, brothers and sisters, it's very important that we check the source of our information, because evil never rests. Evil never rests, and for this reason, they've placed spies within our communities, and they've placed people who they look like they're trying to do good, but in fact they're doing more bad than they are even doing good. So they place these people within our communities. Some of them looking like scholars, some of them looking like speakers, some of them looking like teachers, some of them looking like ordinary people, but in fact they've come into our communities in order to misguide our younger generation, especially our younger generation. Because we mentioned, right, we said that once you learn something in your younger age, it's like you're etching it onto a stone. It's much harder to learn when you're older. It's a hadith from Rasulullah. So over these years, they've had external agents and internal agents. The external agents are very easy to identify, you know. is that what happens is they try to launch attacks on us militarily. They actively try to physically attack us. But then they realize this is not going to work. So what do? They start to put people in amongst us. You know, we have our influencers online. They call themselves Muslim, and then, you know, they do things that are very un-Islamic. For example, they'll put a Muslim female influencer, one of our sisters, they'll place her inside the Muslim Ummah. She'll gain a lot of trust. Then what will happen? After a while, she'll be like, oh yeah, I don't know if I should wear the hijab anymore. So because she's gained that trust in the Muslim Ummah, because she's gained a standing amongst the Muslim believers, people follow her now. She has a following. She's an influencer now. You know? She's got around 100k followers now. And all of these 100k followers, now that they see that she is a religious believing lady, they start to take their religion from her. They start to learn their religion from her. Again, she's not qualified for doing so. As I said, brothers and sisters, it doesn't mean 100% the enemy has put them there, or that the evil train has put them there. But perhaps they've been influenced by that evil train. But it is a custom for the evil train to place these people there as well, in order to move us away from the true and pure Muhammad and Islam. Please say salawat in the name of the Prophet. So now these sisters, they're seeing this lady who's put on their hijab, and they're saying, okay, well, you know what, she knows what she's doing. She's we follow her, we like her. So let's just do what she does. So what does she do? She starts to do things like take off her hijab and so on and so forth. Now the trend, we've seen it several times, that there will be a very, very big influencer, and then suddenly they'll start to do something strange, something that's against Islam. Please recite salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
So what the enemy is trying to do is they're trying to buy you. They're trying to take you. So the other train, they're sending in these people secretly into our train, and then they're going to try to take you. So I would advise my brothers and sisters, don't be a pawn in the hands of the enemy. Don't let the enemy take you away from what is true. And how do we do this? We mentioned yesterday. Was it yesterday? We mentioned 2 days ago. That we must learn who the Ahlul Bayt are. We must learn our religion. We must learn our aqa'id. We must learn our beliefs. Otherwise, the enemy will just happily come and take you away, and then perhaps this world will be fine. Perhaps you'll be happy in this world, and in the next world I'm not so sure. And brothers and sisters, I'm not just saying it for you, I'm saying it for myself too. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran that Shaitan, at the very beginning of time, he said in Surah As-Sad, verse 82 to 83, he says, قَالَ فَبِعِزَّتِكَ لَأَغْوِيَنَّهُمْ أَجْمَعِينَ إِلَّا عِبَادَكَ مِنْهُمُ الْمُخْلَصِينَ. So Shaitan, he's talking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, he swears to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by him. So brothers and sisters, don't think that Shaitan doesn't believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Shaitan was one of the greatest believers actually. But the problem is he tried to worship Allah in a way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't want him to worship. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, he says, rather worship me how I wish to be worshipped. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked him to obey and to prostrate to Prophet Adam ala nabiyyina wa alihi wa alayhi salam, he disobeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because his interpretation of what obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was an incorrect interpretation. And what's the correct interpretation, brothers and sisters? It's the interpretation of Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Please recite salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
So Shaitan has said that, what does he say? He says, I will, by your might, Ya Allah, by your glory, I promise that I will surely pervert them. I will surely deviate them from that train. I will take them off that train, or I will corrupt them on that train, so that they can also take evil, they can also take that good train and deviate that train. Everybody's going along the train analogy, fine, right? There's no problems with that? Okay, thank God. Please recite salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
So he says, by your might, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, by your might, I will surely pervert these people, I will surely deviate them from this path that you have, except for your exclusive servants among them. Brothers and sisters, we may think that, yes, we're on that train. But it's a very difficult thing to be on this train, huh? To be on this train, it means giving everything in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It means believing in the words of Imam Hussaini alayhi salam, where he says, it's as if this world never existed and the next world is all that ever was. It's giving everything in your life for the sake of this path, for the sake of this course, for the sake of that train. So the only way that you can be safe from the attacks of shaitan is that you become one of the exclusive servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And again, how do we do this? By learning our religion and seeing what our Ahlul Bayt say, but of course not learning it from anywhere, because there are a lot of books out there. A lot of people have written a lot of things, especially those people who are, again, those infiltrators, those speakers that sometimes we see. They're saying some strange things. Got to be careful, brothers and sisters, about where we get that knowledge from. We need to make sure that it's from a trusted source. So we must learn and we must obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the way He wants us to obey Him. Because right now shaitan is promising in the Holy Quran, and he's going to stand on that promise. He says that I'm going to stand on you, I'm going to stand in their path. I'm going to wait for them, and I'm going to attack them from their front, their back, their left and their right, from above them, from beneath them. I'm going to attack them in any way possible to get them off your path. And the only one who's going to stay is the only one who's going to stay on the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the mukhlasin, the exclusive servants of Allah, which is those who've learnt their religion and they act upon what they've learnt. And what are the weapons of shaitan? Shaitan has two weapons which we've emphasized so many times. I'm sure he has more weapons, but these are two of the biggest ones. One, love of the world, and two, a lack of insight, not knowing your duty in this world. And a love of the world, having something to lose. It's very dangerous, brothers and sisters. Please recite salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-An'am verse 112, He says, وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَا لِكُلِّ نَبِيٍّ عَدُوًّا شَيَاطِينَ الْإِنسِ وَالْجِنِّ يُوحِي بَعْضُهُمْ إِلَى بَعْضٍ زُخْرُفَ الْقَوْلِ غُرُورًا وَلَوْ شَاءَ رَبُّكَ مَا فَعَلُوهُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in the Holy Quran, for every prophet we appointed an enemy, the devils from among the humans and jinns. So shaitans, but not just shaitan of the jinn, you know that we say, oh, we can't see them. No. Shaitans from among the humans and the jinn. Shaitan is known in the Holy Quran, I would say very briefly, a shaitan is somebody who causes mischief and he tries to deviate people. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala right now is saying that there are shaitan from the humans as well. Doesn't mean that somebody's been possessed or anything. It means that these people, they've been inspired by shaitan. They've been taken astray by shaitan. They were one of those who was attacked by shaitan, and shaitan was successful in taking them away. So, these people become the enemies of the Holy Prophet, and on top of the Holy Prophet, the Imams, and of those people who come in the era of the absence of Imam al-Mahdi Ajjalullah Ta'ala Farajul Sharif.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa Muhammad.
So these people that come into the Islamic society and they start to gain a following and then they start to do this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has addressed them as shayateen in this world. these people are devils. They are the army of shaitan. They are people who shaitan has inspired, and now they're carrying out what he's doing. So we need to be very careful about where we get our information from, and we also need to specify our Islamic duty, brothers and sisters. Alhamdulillah, now is the age of information. With a quick Google search, we can get a lot of information, but not all of those websites that we get information are true. Make sure that when you look online and when you actually try to see what's going on, make sure you get it from a reliable source. And if you wish, I'm always here, inshallah. The organizers, I'll get it from them at your service, inshallah. Please recite salawat. So brothers and sisters, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying in this ayah of the Holy Quran, He's saying that just as the train of good, just as the Islamic cause has always had a leader, that train has always had a driver, that train has always had a driver as well, the train of evil. We see it, and we mentioned at the beginning, each and every one of the prophets had an enemy. Imam Hussaini alayhi salam was driving that train. Yazid was trying to take over that train, right? Yazid was also the driver of the other train. He was trying to take this train and bring it off the path. I see that analogy has gone slightly awry, but khair. Each of them was pushing the narrative of evil and the narrative of the absence of good. Remember, we said that evil is the absence of good. When good doesn't exist in some place, evil will take its place. We said that it's like being in a lit up room, and then once you cover a part of the room, a shadow gets cast, right? So similarly, imagine a room that's being lit with good, you cover part of it, that shadow that's cast is now evil. It's the absence of good. Evil is everything that Islam isn't. Remember, we said it's an objective reality. It's one single reality, nothing else. There's no relativity in Islam. Evil is everything that Islam isn't. Evil is everything that good isn't. Islam is good in its entirety. Evil is, or whatever that isn't Islam, it's not good. There's a hadith from Imam al-Baqir, please recite salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
He says that شرقا وغربا فلا تجد علما صحيحا. Whether you go to the west, whether you go to the east of the world, wherever you go in the world, you will not find one piece of information that is correct, that is good, and that is good. That is good. You will not find one piece of information that is good, except that we have said it, except that it has come from us, the Ahlul Bayt. What does this mean? It doesn't mean that the Ahlul Bayt have gone out and have said every single thing that is good. It means that this cause of Islam, this objective reality, this one single reality that has been going from the time of Adam until Khatam, until the end of time, this is what is right. Everything that this train has said, everything that this train stands for is correct. And everything that this train stands against, or this train doesn't stand for, is the path and the current of falsehood. And my brothers and sisters, we mentioned that the friend of my enemy is my enemy, right? Do we agree with that? Somebody who supports my enemy is my enemy. And then we see that Imam al-Hussaini alayhi salam, he explains who the enemy is. He says, a person like me won't pay allegiance to give him our approval, which is our allegiance. Allegiance was a form of approval back in the day. So what happens? We see these people. Imam al-Salam, he explains who Yazid is. He says, and then we mentioned that there are certain governments nowadays who are also killers of innocent souls. governments that burn the Holy Quran, governments that are Islam cities or hostile to Islam. Our Maraja have said this. Allahu alayhi wa alayhi. We're not displaying the true Islam of the Ahlul Bayt. Were we to display the true Islam of the Ahlul Bayt, which is an individual religion, and not just an individual religion. See, they're very happy to let us just pray at home and, come outside and do Hussain a little bit. But when we start to mention the other aspects of Islam, the parts where it calls for social reform, the parts where it calls for political reform, the parts where it calls for a reform of the entirety of society, that's when they start to get a bit scared. That's when they start to become critical of Islam. That's when they start to cry out against our countries. Please recite salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
So this is a very important thing to remember, brothers and sisters, that if there is the flow of evil, the current of evil will never align with the current of good. Imam al-Hussaini alayhi salam has given us the criterion, saying in Surah Al-Hujurat, I believe, I'm not sure. فَتَبَيَّنُوا. If a corrupt person comes to you with a piece of information, think about it first. Elaborate on it. Try to find out why they're saying that. Try to find out what the reality is. It's important, brothers and sisters, that we don't jump to conclusions. Because if somebody is coming to you that, they're not on the right path, or even worse, they're the opposite path, should be quite clear. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said in Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 257, he says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Allahu waliyul ladhina amanu yukhrijuhum min evil is going towards darkness. They shall be inmates of the fire and they shall remain rebels. The rebels. What does it mean? Rebels mean those who rebel against the objective reality of what is in this realm, in this universe. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying that our wali, and then he gives that wilayah to whom he wishes. Rasulullah, Salam, Hassan, Hussain, so on and so forth until he reaches Imam al-Mahdi, and from afterwards, inshallah, he goes to afterward. And it says that the wali of the train and the wali of the current of evil are those who rebel against Allah, the people that allow them to hold wilayah over us, allowed in Islam. Because our wilayah, if we want to actually believe us, we want to be considered amongst mu'minun or the mu'mineen, we can't accept wilayah because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says He is the wali believers. If we want to be part of truth and on this divine mission, to be part of this objective reality, we must be under the wilayah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Ahlul Bayt, and after the one they give to. Which also means, brothers and sisters, we make judgment over the judgment of Allah. Unfortunately, many of us, we have addiction taking people to court. It's not right, brothers and sisters. Allah, well, Imam Sayyid alayhi salam, he mentions that cannot take the judgment over the judgment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I was listening to one of the very good speakers the other day, gets half of his wealth taken. He's out, it's got nothing to have. The objective reality of Islam gives claims as to how you should do things. instead of going to Allah, what we're saying is, Ya Allah, thank you for sending this train from the time of Adam, thousands of years. Thank you for sending this train, but you know what? I'm going to go and make these man-made rules that these people who have rebelled against you, they were not allowed to take. I'm going to go and take their rule instead. And thank you, but no thanks. What does Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says? One of his companions, Umar ibn Handala, he says that Imam Sadiq, and I asked him about two Shi'as. They had a disagreement over inheritance. Or they had a loan or something, they were disagreeing over. So we asked, who should they turn to resolve their conflict? Is it fine if they go to tyrants and the oppressive rulers? Of course, the Khulafa at that time were not the Khulafa, the Abbasids. So, for you to go to the court of the tyrant. They should look for someone among you who narrates our traditions, knows our law and unlawful matters, and is knowledgeable of our rulings. So rather than going to the courts, brothers and sisters, and taking the ruling of the creation of Allah over Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who has already made full laws in accordance to human nature, we mustn't go to these courts that have been man-made and created according to man's whim and nature. Imam Sadiq is telling us very clearly here, he's saying that the only person you should be going to is somebody who has a clear understanding of the religion. He's saying that if there is a time where you do not access to me, the Imam, if you can see where I'm getting at with this, if there is a time where you do not have access to me, you're all the way in Kufa, all the way in Yemen, and you need it immediately, there's a time where I cannot reach you. In that case, then our Christians who've read enough hadith refer to have studied years of their lives. I'm not referring to myself. I'm referring to Raja al-Idham, may Allah protect them. So what's happening? The driver of the train, the main driver of the train, whose duty is to make sure that this train doesn't deviate off the path, he's made sure that in case he's present or he's not present to directly answer the questions that people have, he's trained people instead. He's given them the tools, he's given some of these passive tools to train themselves so that they can also become the train drivers in case of need in the Imamism, which we see in the case of Allah. We complain to you that we do not have our Prophet with us. And we complain to subhanahu wa ta'ala that we don't have them with us. But we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He talked to these people, that Rasulullah they gave the passengers, the Muslimin, these tools so that in time of need we can refer to them in cases where we're sure what to do. We mentioned that the wilaya is held by, wilaya is held by Allah, wilaya is held by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He gives it to, who did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give the wilaya to? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. Peace and salawat. He gives it to Rasulullah. Rasulullah gives it to Ali ibn Abi Talib salawatullah wa salamuhu alayhi, who gives it to Hassan alayhi salam. And of course, this isn't him giving it because he thinks, my son will be able to do best. This is Allah's decision. He ended up Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. This isn't a decision that must be the Imam. So Hussain alayhi salam, he gives it to Imam Sajjad alayhi salam. Then from him to Bakr alayhi Sadiq alayhi salam. Then Kadhim alayhi salam. Then Imam Rida alayhi salam. Then Imam al-Qa'im ajal. Please just add a second salawat. So this means that the wilaya and the guardianship of the believers is now held by who? Who's the held by? This is Imam al-Mahdi ajalullah ta'ala farajah. Sorry, I should mention that. I was waiting for a response. Imam al-Mahdi ajalullah ta'ala farajah now holds the wilaya of the Islamic Ummah. So somebody writes a letter to Imam al-Mahdi. This was in the period of minor occultation, and people seek interaction with the Imam through his 4 representatives. So he writes a letter to the Imam and he says, look, you're present whenever we have questions. So what can we do? You know, we've got these issues with our salah, we've got these issues among Imam al-Mahdi Adulullah Ta'ala Farajah replies to him. He says, as for the events that will occur, refer to the narrators of our narrations. They are my proofs upon you and the proof of Allah over them. They are the Hujjatullah on us. The narrators of the narration sisters. And we saw that by the narrators of the narrations, they those who studied the narrations to such a depth that they can give ruling, i.e., they have ijtihad, the mujtahideen, the marad-e-idam. Please just ask for the safety. So Imam al-Mahdi Ajal Ta'ala Farajah Sharif, in absence, he hasn't left us with a person who, these few people, he's trained them. Once he is absent from the train, these people will now drive the train in his absence. They will lead this path in his absence. Now have that wilayah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, extension from Imam Mahdi Ajal, have exactly the same wilayah, but they are given that authority from the Imam that we show to them is where, as believers, when we go to them and they solve our problems. Now remember, brothers and sisters, we mentioned that how we believe. We also mentioned, right, how to interact with other people, how we should interact with, our environment even. There's a lot of hadith about our environment, inshallah. I would have loved to mention some, but we didn't get the opportunity to. There's a lot of hadith about the environment. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, everything. Remember, because we said Islam is an objective reality. It had to mention every single thing that is good and every single thing that is bad. Or at least we should have understanding. When we see something good, we know that the opposite of it is bad, right? For example, we know that praying is good and not praying is then bad, right? We know that fasting is good and not fasting is bad. So it's just come to govern every part of it. But brothers and sisters, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, Rasulullah, when he got to Medina, what did he do? When Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi got to Medina, the first thing he did was form a government. Islam is a political religion, that's what we said this years ago. It's not a wishy-washy religion. Islam has authority. That Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi holds government. After him, there is government. There is a leader at the top. Then after him, Ali alayhi salam, after those three, Ali alayhi salam takes them. After him, Hassan alayhi salam, for sons as the government. After him, 10 years later, Hussaini alayhi salam, he arises on a path of reform that could lead to government. So by reading the seerah and reading the tradition of the Ahlul, we can see Islam isn't just a religion social and individual, very political relation as well, brothers and sisters. And in the time of Ghaiba, who has the Walaya believers, brothers and sisters? In the time of Ghaiba, the Marja, the Fuqaha, the jurists, the Mujtahid, they have the Wilaya of the believer. The Faqih has the Wilaya. How is it that we have people, unfortunately, nowadays that say that, oh yeah, in the period of occultation, in the period of Ghaiba, we can't have, no one deserves to have Wilaya. Only if he has, he can rule. He's clearly given it, brothers and sisters. He's to the Mujtahideen. He's given it to the Maraji. He's given it to the just leader, the Adil one, the one who doesn't commit sin, the Maraji. He says one is either ruled by a just leader or an individual or an oppressive individual. Apologies. In the first case, he comforts, and in the second case, he's not. Why not establish a government in which a just individual is leading? If you can understand what I'm talking about. Why do we not support government? That is the Muhammadan Islam of Shia. Please recite salawat in the name of it. So if it is a reality, if government is a reality, why do we fear from? Why do we say that, yeah, no, it isn't? Or yeah, no, this isn't a legit government that Imam Mahdi would like? Of course, I'm talking about Iran. It's the Walayat al-Faqih. Please just say salawat. In the time of Ghaiba, the Walay belongs with the leader. So brothers and sisters, if somebody comes to you and starts to talk bad on you, not about you, starts to talk bad to you about these individuals, have a feeling of authority. They don't want you to feel power and as well be weak, abject. Remember what we said? Evil will always try to bring down the good. Evil always try to make the good look bad. Who are they constantly trying to make look bad? Iran. You see that continuously in that stands up for this. Stood up for Palestine, stood up for Yemen, stood up for Bosnia during the war in 1992. Syria, as the brother says, Iraq, all of the oppressed brothers and sisters there. Finally, the oppressed have a voice and the enemy doesn't like it. They think, oh no, you know what? We have opposition now. They don't like it, brothers and sisters. That's why they're trying to ruin it. So when somebody comes to you and starts to badmouth the Islamic Republic and the Islamic government, in its constitution it says this country belongs to Imam Sahib al-Asri wa Zaman, please recite salawat. They try Imam Sahib Zaman, tell them, thank you very much, but I know what's right. The Imams already told us, these people have wilayah over us in his absence. They have wilayah over us. Please recite another salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So, brothers and sisters, this is my final note. The train of Islam, the train of this objective reality that has been from the very beginning of Adam and Khatam and beyond Khatam as well, will never remain driverless. It will always have driver, inshallah, until the ad of Imam Sahib al-Asri wa Zaman, Arwah lahu al-Fida. Please just salawat in his name. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in verse 251 of the Holy Quran, He says, وَلَوْلَا دَعَهُ النَّاسِ بَعْضُهُمْ بِبَعْضٍ لَفَسَدَتِ الْأَرْضِ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ ذُو فَضْلٍ عَلَى الْعَالَمِينَ. Not for Allah repelling the people by means of one another, the earth would surely have been corrupted. Allah is kind to the people of the earth. Allah is kind to the creation. That's why He gives these people. He gives these people who are willing to reform the earth. We mentioned that Ayatollah Khomeini rahmatullah, he set off on the very path of Imam alayhi. In the path that he set on 16 years, brothers and sisters, 16 years of struggle in exile. First to Turkey, then to Najd, then to France. Before he was finally successful, the same path. He knew that he could either end in martyrdom or in taking the government. But when he took the government, brothers and sisters, he ensured that he gave the Shia a stand, and he ensured the oppressed would never see a day in which they would be subjugated. He ensured that there would always be a support for them. Brothers and sisters, when you see somebody speaking out against the Islamic Republic, remember that it's our duty to protect them. It's our duty to protect this government that inshallah will be handed Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. Brothers and sisters, tonight is the 12th of Muharram. One woman who truly will say that, I mentioned this before, that throughout the events of Karbala, we only see that she really let her emotions speak only about 3 or 4 times, brothers and sisters. Otherwise, she was completely dedicated to her as a Muslim and to her duty as a believer in the path of Ahlul Bayt. See what we see on the plains of Karbala, brothers and sisters? What does she see? She sees the body of her brother Al-Abbas alayhi salam torn to pieces by the river Euphrates. His lips dry from thirst. She looks elsewhere, what does she see? She sees Hur, the one who understood what Wilayah meant, the one who knew what was right, and he eventually made the right decision. His body is torn apart as well. These people were willing to be torn apart for the truth, because they knew what the truth was. How dare we not stand up for the truth, brothers and sisters? Only if we have no shame will we not stand up for the truth. Hussain alayhi salam lays there torn on the body on the plains of Karbala. His chest almost one with his back because of the trampling of the hooves. His clothes taken. His body laying there without clothes on the plains of Karbala, yet we're too scared to say something just in case, something bad. Qasim is there. Zainab looks, what did she see? She sees that crescent moon of Qasim. Yet this time, what did she see? On the 9th of Muharram, she saw the crescent moon, but now what does she see? She sees the crescent moon cleft in half, brothers and sisters. On the 9th of Ashura, she saw Ali and Al-Akbar. Ali and Al-Akbar looking just like the Prophet, brothers and sisters. What does she see on the 11th of Muharram? She sees a body, فَقَطَعُوهُ إِرْبًا إِرْبًا, a body torn from limb to limb, pieces, brothers and sisters, such that Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam had to call out to his Bani Hashim, meet your brother back. I don't have the ability to take him back on my own. What do we see? We see Owen and Muhammad. The two sons brought up in the house. Zainab says, what does she care about? She doesn't mind that her sons are born because she's sacrificed them for this path. Everything is Allah, and to Him everything shall return. Muhammad. Even on the 9th of Muharram, brothers and sisters, she had the comfort of hearing the cry of Ali and Al-Asr. But now that she looks back, what does she see? 11th of Muharram, brothers and sisters, she sees this baby looking exactly the same, yet now his white swaddle is now stained with his blood. And worst of all, what does she see? Ninth of Muharram, that night, she heard her brother Abbas alayhi salam. She sees him patrolling the caravan, making sure that nobody could even get near the caravan. As long as he's alive, his two strong arms by his side, his sword in his hand, ensuring that not even the Khabith would come near them. But now what does she see? Come the 11th of Muharram, brothers and sisters, and in one spot lies the right arm of Abu al-Fadl Abbas. In another spot lies the left arm of Abu al-Fadl Abbas. In a third spot lies the armless body of Abu al-Fadl Abbas. His body cut to pieces. That beautiful moon that they called him Bani Hashim is now, according to the ahadith, according to our Mu'atil, what does he see? What does she see? That beautiful face is now split into two by the iron mace. Zainab is not finished. On the night of Muharram, she saw Abdullah ibn Hassan with the other children. Yeah? The 11-year-old son of Imam Hassan playing with the children, happy. She see when she approaches her brother's body on the 11th of Muharram, right next to him is Abdullah ibn Hassan, laying there just as he would lay in his bed. But what's the difference now, brothers and sisters? The difference now, brothers and sisters, is Abdullah has lacked an arm, his arm hanging off by a piece of skin in his throat that has beheaded him. Another no muhajirun. These are the people who gave their life to Abdullah ibn Hussain. Malaika yawm Abdullah. A day lost by Abdullah. Zainab, this is not the worst tragedy on the day of Ashura. What's the worst tragedy that happened? Right before she hears her brother reciting poetry, Ya dahr uffin laka min khalil. Oh time, what a terrible friend you are. He's telling Sayyid Zainab that tomorrow it's finished. Tomorrow your Hussain alayhi salam is murammalun bid-dima, drenched in blood, brothers and sisters. What happens on the 11th of Muharram, brothers and sisters? She is being taken to Kufa. She's put on the camel. She's placed on the camel. And what does she see as she's going past the bodies? She sees one body that is unidentifiable, brothers and sisters. Covered in wounds, covered in arrows, such that the chest looks like a porcupine. But the neck is 12 blows, brothers and sisters. They say that Shimr laid 12 blows on the neck of Abu Abdullah ibn Hussain. Sayyidah Zainab, she sees this body, and what does she say? She says, Wa Muhammad, oh Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. Oh Muhammad. She calls out to her grandfather. صلى عليك مليك السماء. May the angels of the heavens send their salutations upon you. هذا حسين بالعراء. This is Hussain laying on the ground. مرمل بالدماء. Covered in his blood, drenched in his blood. مقطع الأعضاء, cut into pieces. صلى الله عليك صلى الله عليك. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الكافرين وعلى القوم الظالمين. وصل يا ربي على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين. العاقبة للمتقين. الحمد لله رب العالمين. Please صلوات على محمد وآل محمد. السلام يا رسول الله. السلام عليك يا خير خلق الله. السلام عليك يا سيد الله. السلام عليك يا محمد بن عبد الله خير النبيين. السلام عليك يا علي بن أبي طالب وصي رسول الله أمير المؤمنين. السلام عليك فاطمة الزهراء نساء العالمين. السلام عليك يا أبا حسن مجتبى. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين جميع الحسين حامل لواء الحسين. السلام عليك يا علي بن الحسين إلى العابدين وقرة عين الناظرين. السلام عليك يا محمد بن علي باقر العلم بعده. السلام عليك يا جعفر محمد الصادق صادق البار الأمين. السلام عليك يا موسى بن جعل الكامل الطاهر الطاهر. السلام عليك يا علي مسرد المرتضى. السلام عليك يا محمد التقي. السلام عليك يا علي بن محمد النقي الناصح. السلام وصي من بعد. اللهم صل على نورك وولي وليك ووصي وصيك وحجتك على حقك. السلام على فرجك. سهل الله تعالى مخرجك ظهورك. صل يا ربي على محمد وآل الطاهرين.